All right, welcome back, football faithful, to the Draft Podcast, a proud member of the Gem City Sports Podcast Network. Your front row seat to the NFL Draft, where hope springs eternal and projection often outpaces production. I'm your host, Paul Adamaszek, and today is Tuesday, January the 13th, which means we are officially 100 days out from the 2026 NFL Draft taking place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I know what you're thinking. Paul, the season isn't even over yet. Well, yes, you're correct. Welcome to draft season. As soon as the season ends for the fans, it merely begins for front offices and addicts like myself. If you rode with me last season, you know the deal. We lived in the weeds. Positional breakdowns, my guys, big boards, mock drafts, underwear Olympics, all of it. And if you're new here, welcome. I promise this is a safe space. We try to have fun, be informative. Unless you think the Wonderlic test still matters, then I can't help you at all. For my new friends, this show is about evaluation. It's about recognizing traits from production, discerning realistic projection from hype, and understanding how the draft will unfold in April. I'm not chasing consensus. I'm not reacting to headlines. I'm trying to share with you which guys I believe will be good football players at the next level immediately, which ones will need time and the right environment, and which ones are about to be overdrafted because someone talked themselves into it. So here's my plan today. And we got a lot of new stuff in season 2. I've got graphics. Did you see the new intro video? Sweet. Here's how we're going to start today. We're going to start with a look back at some of my hits and misses from the 2025 draft because I believe in accountability and also taking a victory lap. Then we get to the main event. Draft Declaration Day is tomorrow, January the 14th. It's a Wednesday. It is the final day athletes can declare themselves eligible to be selected in April, go up on stage, shake hands with Commissioner Goodell, all the good stuff. And then there are some still some big names that you may or may not know that could tremendously impact the first round, and in some cases, an entire franchise's future still languishing, still waiting. We're going to see if they declare or not. But before we get to Declaration Day, as I mentioned, I want to do something that actually matters. I want to own my board from last year. I want to be accountable. I want you guys to know that sort of my thought process. I've been doing this for a long time. It's 2026. I can say I've been doing this confidently for 23 years. The first draft I remember doing is 2003, and really getting into it. So I have right here, I have the Draft Podcast Top 50 from 4/23/25. I don't know if you can see that date at the top of the page. It's all marked up. I use this on draft night, but I'm going to reference that. And I want to start with the hits. Guys that I got right last year, and I want to let you know, hey, I was on these guys early. You can trust me. Going to start with Harold Fannin. If you were here for episode 1 last year, Harold Fannin was one of the first 3 names I mentioned, the other 2 being Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders. Okay, so Harold Fannin, number 3. Fannin was selected by the Browns in the 3rd round. He went for 72 catches, 731 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He led Cleveland in receiving as a rookie. I was right on Harold Fannin from the jump for one very simple reason. The production was elite, and it showed up on tape week after week after week. This wasn't a guy I talked myself into because of traits or projection. He caught everything. He lined up everywhere. He was the offense for Bowling Green. The volume, the efficiency, he played everywhere. The versatility, the consistency, he did it every week. It was all there on tape. Scout the player, not the jersey. So Harold Fannin, I would say, was definitely my biggest win from last year. Glad to be right on that one. Hit number 2, Gray Zabel, interior offensive lineman out of North Dakota State University, drafted by the Seahawks, late round 1. I was right on Gray Zabel because of what I saw at the Senior Bowl. Didn't care that he was an FCS guy. What mattered in that game was when you put him on the field against all the Power 5 competitions, all the name guys, he was still the most dominant offensive lineman in Mobile. One-on-ones, team reps, pass protection, run game. He didn't just survive, he controlled the rep. That's when level of competition arguments stopped mattering to me. I saw it early. I knew he was going to be a dude. I didn't quite project round 1. Where did I have Gray Zabel? I had Zabel at 29. I think he went 27, so I was pretty darn close on that one. Senior Bowl told you exactly who he was, and I listened. And I'm going to limit this to 3 hits because we could be here all night. And I'm just doing episode 1. We're just warming up. We're just testing the waters here. We're going to do this every Tuesday, at least once a week. I'll have some special guests on. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to get to my last hit for this episode. Demetrius Knight, linebacker, played at South Carolina, ended up being drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals in round 2. I was higher than most on Demetrius Knight because I evaluated him for the job he was actually going to do. A lot of times you get to draft season and the experts, the scouts, the talking heads, they want to talk about 3-down linebackers, modern linebackers, guys who can cover the slot, guys who can take away running backs and tight ends in the flat. I never viewed Demetrius as a 3-down linebacker. I didn't sell him as some modern coverage linebacker. What I saw was a classic 2-down thumper, physical, decisive, downhill runner with real value in the right role. And I think that was key. Not every linebacker has the ability or the requirement to play all 3 downs to matter. Early down still exists. Goal line still exists. Short yardage still exists. I was able to evaluate him honestly, and I think the Bengals valued him accordingly. He had a great rookie season. Now for the misses. This is accountability time, and this is where I will admit I was wrong. So I have 2 misses and 1, I'm going to call it correction. The first miss, and I don't mean to pick on Texas because I didn't actually realize until this is all written up. I didn't actually realize until I'm going through my list here that I'm kind of picking on Texas a little bit. One of my misses last year was Matthew Golden. I was wrong on Matthew Golden because I leaned too hard into traits. Most specifically that 4.29 40 he ran at Indianapolis. 4.29 in the 40, he had a 1.49 10-yard split. Eye-popping numbers, explosive athlete. Speed, burst, the athletic profile, it all popped. But as we saw throughout the season, traits don't necessarily automatically become production at the next level. And I projected refinement that didn't immediately show up. Needs to play stronger at the top end of the route, inconsistent working back on throws to protect the catch point. That's on me. I bet on the stopwatch more than the totality of the game. Speed matters, but it's not the whole evaluation. We will learn. Combine coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be mid to late February is usually when that is. We'll get the exact dates in a later episode. We've got a ton of time before we even get to the combine. Second miss, and this one hurts because I think part of this was I was a fan of the player. Jahdae Barron, cornerback out of Texas, went first round of the Broncos. Stings a little bit because on paper the resume looked great. He won the Jim Thorpe Award, best defensive back in the country. He was productive. He was versatile at Texas. And I bought into the idea that all that would translate cleanly to the NFL. It didn't. Didn't have the top end speed to carry vertical solo. That might have been something we saw on tape that was questionable. Turns out the athleticism, very average lateral transition player. Not great recovery burst when beaten. College success, awards, instincts don't always overcome physical limitations at corner at the next level. I should say, especially at corner at the next level. The translation just wasn't there. I underestimated how much that would matter, especially for him. It's a miss, and that's a reminder that winning awards doesn't equal winning matchups on Sundays. You got to be better. At least I can say I was with the number 1 seed Denver Broncos on my evaluation on that one. And finally, I'm not going to say it's a mistake, but it was. I will make one correction. I had Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, at 37. Can you see that? 37, somewhere over here. He was way down. And this is the one I'll flat out correct. I was too low. I saw him as a really good high-end number 2. I had him ranked 37th. I wasn't completely out on the guy. Early second-round pick. I saw him as a complementary piece. What I underestimated was how much work ethic, attention to detail, and professionalism matter at the next level. That's the stuff that matters more than maybe we like to admit. Maybe I like to admit. But the guy came into the league ready. The routes were crisp. His assignments always very clean. The trust with the quarterback, the trust with the offensive coordinator came quickly. I mean, in week 1, he was an instant star. That's why he made an immediate impact as a high-level NFL receiver, even on a team with 2 other, I won't call them both potential Hall of Famers. Mike Evans, I think, certainly. I think Chris Godwin, great player. I don't know if he's Hall of Fame level, but great player. 2 great wide receivers, and Emeka Egbuka made his presence known immediately. So that's a lesson in not undervaluing reliability and preparation at the wide receiver position. All right, you live, you learn. I like to think that we have some accountability, so you kind of know I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. All right, I will stick by the board. I put this together. I put a lot of thought into it last year. I have 100 days to do the exact same this year. So I guess the takeaway is that's the self-scout. When I was right, it was because I trusted production, competition, role clarity. When I was wrong, it was because I leaned too far into traits or even necessarily just assumptions. Didn't give enough weight to the mental side of the game. So that's on me. I hope that I can build some trust with you guys. Like, I know what I'm talking about, a lot of stuff. Undervalued a few guys that, hey, I'm happy to be wrong. We're rooting for all these players. I want all these guys to be stars. The NFL is better when it's loaded with stars, when it's loaded with names we recognize and want to be good. When somebody you like turns out to be good, you almost like them even more, right? So I'm rooting for all these guys, but I'm wrong every now and again. It happens. So we'll take that. So now that we've owned last year's board, let's put it behind us. Let's get into the reason today actually matters. Tomorrow is Declaration Day, and this is the part of the cycle where things can wildly shift. These are players I am watching most closely, not because they're good, but because their decision actually changes the shape of this class. And if you'll bear with me for just a moment, we're going to get a little production value here. And I've got, oh yeah, check out these graphics, baby. I've got 10 guys that I want to talk about who have not made their decision, have not made a declaration whether they're entering the 2026 draft or not. And I have 4 quarterbacks that I'm going to start with, so I put them all in the same graphic. Obviously, we're going to start with Fernando Mendoza, Heisman winner. He is the headliner. Right now, the presumed top pick. And while he hasn't formally declared, everyone around the league is operating basically as if he will. I expect him to. Nothing left to prove. The tape is clean. The production is elite. I think for most people, the evaluation boxes are already checked. The tape is going to have to be gone through with a fine-tooth comb. If you're on Twitter X, there are some naysayers saying that he only throws outside the numbers and this and that. At this point, we know what he is. A lot of this is more procedural than suspenseful, but until all the paperwork's in, I at least have to mention it, right? Okay, so Fernando Mendoza, we expect him to declare. Next one. This is a fascinating one. Dante Moore, quarterback out of Oregon, still hasn't made that decision despite having a top-tier grade. If he declares, he's in the top pick conversation immediately. If he doesn't go 1, he probably goes 2. It's fascinating because the semifinal performance wasn't great, but it doesn't erase the arm talent. It doesn't erase the athleticism, the playmaking ability, the feathery soft touch when throwing the ball. He throws the most catchable football of anybody in this draft. Long-term projection, yada, yada, yada. My issue is personally with the number of college starts, but that's a conversation for another day. The Dante Moore question is the classic. Do you trust the grade or do you want another year of insulation? See what he looks like when he hits that magical 30 start number. He's not even at 25. And we can get into that later. The guys who never started under 25 starts in college and the hit rate on how they turn out in the NFL, it's not good. It's not good. Moving on, another guy we expect to declare, and this one's more about circumstance. Trinidad Chambliss, quarterback of Ole Miss, formerly Ferris State. His declaration is at this point essentially imminent. And I did a lot of this work last night because the NCAA denied his waiver, I want to say on the 11th. January 11th for a 6th year of eligibility. So the college career is, for all intents and purposes, functionally over. It'll make him one of the more fascinating scouting exercises in this class. He's going to be polarizing in a lot of different quarterback rooms. He's going to be polarizing in the media. And I'm really looking forward to diving into more tape. I watched the playoff games like you guys. I saw a little bit of the Ferris State tape on the YouTube. He is interesting. He's really small, but there's a lot of talent there. It'll be a fun one to get into should he declare. And finally, for graphic one, we're sticking with the quarterbacks. John Mateer, quarterback from Oklahoma, the presumptive Heisman winner, like 4 or 5 weeks into the college season. The dude is quietly real. Had a rough season. The injury didn't look great coming back. Did he come back too early? I don't know. In what looks like an underwhelming quarterback class, John Mateer's declaration or non-declaration really matters. If the advisory grade comes back strong, basically they give guys who ask, should I go in the NFL draft? They give you one of 3 ratings. First round, second round, go back to school. So it's going to depend on how that advisory grade comes back. But it'll be interesting, especially for teams looking beyond the obvious names at quarterback. Mateer, should he enter, I suspect he goes in the first round. Going on to guys who have yet to declare, have until tomorrow to declare, that are not quarterbacks. And again, I'm doing a little production right here. Bang. Check it out. Starting with Max Clare, the tight end from Ohio State. This one's interesting because this is pure market play. A lot of this has to do with Ohio State's depth chart behind him. Claire's a talented player. Would he benefit from going back to school for another year? Yeah, absolutely. Would he play as much next year should he go back? Not guaranteed. The league, this draft is starving for tight ends who can actually stay on the field. If the feedback says day 2, I think if you're Max Clare, there's very little reason to wait. He's not a round 1 guy. But if he gets that round 2 grade, that round 2 feedback, I can see him entering. And he'll be I think he'll be one of the last to pick. Another player on the offensive side of the ball, going into the offensive line in a really strong tackle class, Carter Smith from Indiana. We'll see him next Monday in the national championship. Name keeps popping up. Offensive tackles don't usually get told to hang around in college if teams see starter traits. And the advice for tackles tends to be very direct. If he gets that, yeah, you've got the length, you've got that kick slide that the NFL wants, go, big fella. And tackles are like quarterbacks. They're going to get overdrafted. Carter Smith, should he declare, you can see a late first, early round, or early second on the big guy from Indiana. Another offensive line prospect. Last guy on offense we're going to talk about, Jake Slaughter, interior offensive lineman from Florida. He's going to play guard. Always late decisions along the offensive line. He'll show up as a top-tier interior prospect. There's no doubt about it. Those guys often wait until the last minute because the league's messaging could be murky, especially in the offensive line. It's a thinner interior offensive line class, so Slaughter could be exactly the type of player who benefits from striking while the demand exists. And that's why I included him on the list. Another guy who you would say, yeah, go back to school, become a first-round guy, like, for sure. But then again, interior offensive linemen have to be unfreaking real to be first-round guys. So if he gets a high grade, stay in the class that doesn't have a whole lot of interior offensive linemen, and that just kind of boosts your stock. Addition by subtraction, right? Then we're going to go to the defensive side of the ball. Talked about this guy for a couple of months. One of my favorite players, I'm going to say in this draft because there's no way he goes back to school. He's a first-round pick. Ruben Bain Jr., the edge from Miami. He's already an NFL disruptor. The big thing that we're going to see on Ruben Bain is going to come down to arm length. All right. That's going to be the big thing. They're going to say, ignore the tape, ignore the production, ignore how all the other guys on that defensive line just look better when he's on the field. Don't listen to any of it. The arms are going to come up short, but the tape looks the part. The physicality looks the part. Edge rushers with his profile don't really wait around in the green room too long either on draft night. So unless something unexpected, like in the medical area, comes back, him being on this list feels like a formality. I just wanted to include him because I want to be early on Ruben Bain, baby. Another couple of guys that'll be interesting. D'Angelo Pons, the undersized corner from Indiana. That's going to be the conversation, but he's held up as IU's true number one corner. He's a late day 2, early day 3 type kind of upside. Corners who prove they can survive on the outside tend to get rewarded, which he has done. He's had a great year. I mean, we're going to see next Monday how he holds up to Malachi Toney. But if the league buys the tape, the size won't stop him. There's been plenty of small guys. Brent Grimes comes to mind where the explosiveness is just off the charts. It doesn't matter that he's 5'9". And then finally, I think another one who could make some noise. We'll see how he tests at the combine. But Tacario Davis, formerly of Arizona, he played at Washington the last year. This is the frame bet. Long, physical ball skills. If the workout numbers come back good, corners built like this are rare. If the tape says the movement matches the length, once again, this one resolves itself quickly. Okay, so I gave you 10 names who have yet to declare whether they're going to be in the 26th draft or not. But I would say 8 to 10 of these guys, you'll hear names either tonight or tomorrow, or maybe even before the show here, and I missed it. So that's it for the undeclared. Now I want to get to the declared pool, but before we get out of here, I want to hit one more thing, and this is sort of important context for the rest of draft season. To clarify, this is not a top 50. This is not a mock draft. This is my declared player notebook so far. A lot of words. Guys who have officially declared for the 2026 draft and guys that I've actually done some work on, watched them play, took notes, formed an opinion on. These are the names I trust. This list is going to grow. Some guys may fall out. Some will climb. But tonight it's just a jumping off point. And just so you know where all of this is headed, what we're doing this season is building toward the same finish line. I'm not just covering the draft this year like I did last year. I'm going to it. Gem City will be in Pittsburgh for the 2026 draft, downtown, all weekend, doing this in real time. Content, reactions. We'll probably go live once it's on the clock. The details will come together as we get closer, but the point is simple. I want to close this draft cycle where it actually happens. Season 2 isn't just about getting ready for the draft. It's about finishing the work on site when the picks are real after the smoke clears. All right. Let's get fired up. Let's get into those round 1 grades. And again, not a mock draft, not a top 50, not even necessarily in this order. But at the top, this is a really strong group, especially defensively. Blue chip defenders: Caleb Downs, Ohio State; Peter Woods, Clemson; Arvell Reese, another Ohio State; C.J. Allen; Avion Terrell, Jermon McCoy from Tennessee, going to be interesting. Mansour Delane out of LSU. Class is not lacking for impact talent on that side of the ball. Offensively, there's real juice too, especially at wide receiver. Are you a wide receiver hungry team? I think all 3 of our area teams around here could use a number 1 wide receiver. Carnell Tate, Dion Burks, Micaiah Lemon, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. Different styles, different roles, but all players NFL teams can build around. And up front, tackle class. Again, this looks legit. Caden Proctor, Spencer Fano, Caleb Lomu, Isaiah World. Size, movement, real NFL traits that get scouts excited, football guys excited for these big fellas. I'm not breaking any of those guys down today. That's just the group that sets the tone for this class in round 1. Couple of names I had to get off my chest. Round 2 grades, this is where depth really starts to show up. Defenders like TJ Parker, Anthony Hill from Texas, Christian Miller, Denai Dennis Sutton, Penn State, Brandon Sissy, Guys who aren't flashy but play the game the right way. Corner, Colton Hood, Damani Jackson are both going to be real evaluations, not projection players, but got to determine where they should play, what systems they fit in, because they're NFL guys. These are Sunday players. Offensively, second round, this is where teams obviously always make money. Antonio Williams, Chris Brazell, Aaron Anderson, guys who know how to play wide receiver, not just run fast. You heard the wide receiver group from the first round. Second round is going to be a melee. There's going to be a lot of moving around. I think when I'm doing this in early 2027, second round is going to age very well. There's going to be another Igbuka where I'm going to have to apologize. Hey, I was really low on Antonio Williams, guys. He should have gone in the first. Like, it's just insane. It's deep. Some round 3 grades early. Maybe my favorite part of the list. Running backs, Jadarian Price, second fiddle out of Notre Dame. Nick Singleton, one of my guys. Very different styles, both very usable at the next level. A lot of linebacker depth here too. Josiah Trotter, Arion Carter, Torian York, smart, physical players, coachable. You got a tight end like Marlon Klein, who's going to quietly carve out a nice role in the NFL because he does the dirty work. And a lot of that times, that's where draft Twitter checks out. But where real teams don't. And we're not going to check out on this podcast. We're going to tell you what Marlon Klein's going to do well at the next level. And he's going to be a successful player regardless of where he's drafted. Look at 2025 and all the TEs that went in rounds 2 and 3 that produced this year. A couple of round 4 guys who may shoot up boards. I wanted to mention some names. There's some fun ones. Zachariah Branch from Georgia. Penn State guys, Katron Allen, Fat Man, and of course Zane Durant. Undersized defensive tackle with movement ability. Different positions, different paths, but all guys that make sense once you get past the headline scouting. Now, these are names that'll get drafted on Saturday afternoon, but will end up playing meaningful snaps in October. And that's what we're all about here. Guys who will actually play the next level beyond the top 10 lists, right? So I'll post in the comments the full list of players on my radar on another really cool graphic that I didn't want to fit into the show because the words are like really small. So make sure you look for that after the show airs. And again, this is not a ranking. It's not finished. It's a snapshot of the declared pool so far, and it's a group of players I've actually done work on and feel comfortable standing behind at this stage of the process. So we're just about 30 minutes in, which is what I wanted to do for episode 1 of season 2 this year. Reminder, Declaration Day is tomorrow. Once those decisions are in, this board is going to start moving fast. That's when season 2 starts to really take shape. We'll tighten the tiers. We'll build the boards. We'll figure out who makes sense where. If you want to stay ahead of that, not just react to it, make sure you're subscribed to the Draft Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you're subscribed to Gem City Sports Podcast Network, and all the quality shows and information you get here. New episodes every week as we move closer to the 2026 draft in Pittsburgh. You can also find me on X at RufusP88. That's where I'll post board updates, reactions, take questions, suggestions, all that stuff. So if you've been here since last season, I appreciate you. If you're new, welcome and buckle up. I'm Paul Adamaszek. This is the Draft Podcast. Season 2 is officially